Hi friends, Alicia here. I wanted to pop in and make a quick video for you guys because after I wrote my last blog post, I had a lot coming up for myself around it, and I wanted to share it with you to see if maybe some of it's coming up for you guys as well. So the last blog that I wrote was called Holding Both, and it's about the ability to really hold your joy and your suffering in your hands at the same time. Doesn't mean you necessarily feel those things at the same time, but that you can both allow yourself to really dive into that joy of being human, that kind of upwelling enthusiasm, wanting to engage and invest in your life. And also that you can allow yourself to look into the pain and the hurt both in your own life, in your own self, and out in the world, and believe me, there's plenty of both, to look that straight in the face and to let it break your heart a little bit and let yourself feel that sadness and that tenderness. And I think that being able to hold both of those things is what really keeps us human, right? Because if we're too much in the pain, too much in the suffering, then life feels really heavy and hard, and it's difficult to even remember why it's worth getting up in the morning. But also, if we're only willing to hold the good stuff, the happiness, then it becomes a little bit hollow and shallow. That's that positive vibes only that you see in the yoga world and elsewhere that I think starts to rob us of our own empathy and our own humanity and our own realness, because nobody feels like that all the time. For me, what I've noticed is that by going more deeply into either one of those directions, I enhance my capacity to feel both. So the more I let myself really dive into my joy, the more I'm able to sit with suffering and even take on a little piece as my own kind of personal burden of that suffering, and hopefully do something actively to help heal that suffering. And the same, the more I sit with that suffering, the more I'm really able to invest in my joy and feel my joy. And what I've realized is that both of those things are far outside my comfort zone. They are not in my sort of normal, easy, safe habits and routines. When I'm in what I would call my routine day-to-day state, it's a little bit like I'm checking out, actually. It's almost like I'm vegging out, scrolling on the phone, or even if I'm quite active doing things, ticking off my list, that I'm really just going through the motions. And I'm kind of keeping myself in this very, especially in a feeling way, in an emotional way, I'm keeping myself in this very limited box, because that's what feels safe and that's what feels easy and that's what feels predictable, and I don't have to step into that uncertainty. But also by doing that, I really miss out on the depth of what's possible for me to feel as a human. So I started asking myself, what does it really feel like to feel my joy? What makes me feel joyful? And it's not that sort of vegetative scrolling on the phone, that kind of meh, not really feeling anything. The absence of pain isn't joy, right? Joy is something else. It's its own feeling. To me, it feels like this real upwelling of excitement, enthusiasm to be alive. And there's so many things that I do that can make me feel that way. I know that for me, going outside, especially with no agenda, not even going for a walk, just being outside. Sometimes I literally roll around in the grass and stretch out and have a nice delicious rub in the grass, and I look at all the little bugs and I watch the clouds, and that really makes me feel present and excited to be alive. It's one example, right? There are other things too. And then the same, what is it really to hold my suffering and invest in it and be with it? So let's say, for example, we're talking about the ugliness that exists in the world, because there's quite a lot of that. It doesn't just mean to click on the video and watch something violent or upsetting and say oh God, that's terrible. Oh, the world is terrible. And then turn away and start vegging out again, right? Turn away and go back into my safety zone. But it's really to say, wow, that hurts my heart, that that's happening. Who's working on this? Who knows more about this than me? And how can I learn a little more about this? What's really going on in this situation? What's contributing to this situation? And then how can I take steps in my life, both in my own kind of day-to-day interactions and thoughts, and also proactively putting myself out there, whether that's financially donating time, anything like that. How can I carry this a little piece of this burden of suffering that's in the world? By investing in those things, truly investing, not just letting it be a fleeting glimpse of oh God, that's terrible, or oh, that's nice, but really getting deep into that joy, letting yourself feel so grateful, so appreciative to be alive, just letting yourself feel so alive, like, wow, like it is not shy and it is not in your safety zone. And then also you can allow yourself, if you have that like in the bank and you really fill yourself up with that, then you can allow yourself to sit with some real difficult things, real injustice, real violence, real ugliness, I always call it, all the worst parts of humanity showing themselves in real time. And then you can actually be with that and dig into that. And for me, I know when it's real empathy, because at some point always I get inspired to act. There's always a moment where I say, I know something that I can do. There's something that I can do to make this better. And then I do it. And for me right now, that's my definition of really being with that suffering. I know that I've sat with it and looked at it enough when it inspires me to then take action the way that I would if it was personally affecting me in my own life. That I start to think of like what needs to be done here and how can I do a little piece of that. Right? So I've noticed when I take myself out of that comfort zone and really dig into those two energies, that so much comes of it. I get out of my routine. I get out of this sort of like meh scrolling online. For me, it's social media and eBay. I love eBay. I can look at eBay for hours, and that's okay. That's okay. Like, I'm not trying to judge anyone for looking at eBay, looking at social media, watching television, whatever it is. But I can feel energetically in myself when I kind of turn that corner from, just actually looking at eBay for something that I need to like, now I'm just on autopilot. I'm just vegging, right? And what I'm doing in that moment is I'm actually not investing. I'm choosing to not invest my energy in either joy or suffering, but I'm choosing to withdraw it, kind of hoard it almost selfishly into myself. And selfishly for me too, like it benefits me to actually engage with the world and to hold those things, right? Instead of just being hands off to both of them and being like, oh, that's out of my comfort zone. I don't want that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys and see if any of that resonates with you, if any of you guys are kind of feeling the same. I would love to hear if that makes sense to you in your own life, how that shows up in your life, what it feels like to you to really dig into that joy, what it looks like to you, what it looks like to you to be with your suffering, either your inner suffering or the outer suffering in the world. And then if you can notice what that is for you, that kind of switch inside when you really just start kind of vegging and staying in that safety autopilot zone. So if you would like to share, I would love to hear it. You can leave a comment below, you can message me, and I look forward to hearing your feedback and talking to you more soon. And with that, I leave you all with so much love. Have an amazing day. Mwah!